Welcome into another episode of Five Rounds here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Also, we are simulcasting live on Combat Center, which is a new YouTube channel that our pal Jonathan Ramlakhan created just for all the combat sports related stuff. Because I understand that there's some crossover, not total crossover. So if you happen to just come to this show and this network for the fighting content, you can get all of that on YouTube at Combat Center, and you can keep watching on Five Reasons Sports if you want, if that's easier for you. But every episode of Five Rounds is proudly served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Make the Quarterdeck your spot to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight for zero cover charge. I hope you had a good time out there this past Saturday night. That was a hell of a card. There were a lot of memories made, including my pick for fight of the year so far. We're going to talk a lot about the winner of that fight coming up here, but yeah, the Quarterdeck has every UFC pay-per-view for zero cover charge. They have 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. They've got delicious food, the jerk chicken sandwich, the all-American burger, the fresh seafood is so good. And we're going to be having at least one, hopefully multiple, assuming the Miami Heat get out of the first round of the playoffs. We're going to be having playoff road watch parties at the Quarterdeck in Davie, and we're going to do the first one. It's going to be for Game 4 against it's a yet-to-be-determined opponent, but Game 4 is going to be not this Sunday, but the week after. We're going to have a watch party at the Quarterdeck Davie, so come out and meet us. I'm going to be out there. Ethan's going to be out there. The whole cast of characters from the Five Reasons Sports Network will be out there. So if you want to check out the Quarterdeck's menu before you go or find the location nearest to you, visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Alex Donno alongside James Walker and Frank Zaffere. And, James, I want to lob this into the air before I give you and Frank a chance to introduce yourselves. So many interesting narratives coming away from Khamzat Chimaev's decision victory over Gilbert Burns. I think a lot of fight fans are speaking out of both sides of their mouth because before that fight, a lot of people, myself included, who are really bullish on Chimaev were saying, gosh, I hope he gets tested. Like, I would love to see Chimaev, who prior to that fight this past Saturday had never fought longer than 6 minutes and 15 seconds, a lot of quick finishes. I would love to see him get tested over 3 rounds, face a little adversity, see how he does over the course of 15 grueling minutes. That's exactly what happened. And then I think a lot of the same people who wanted to see him tested come out of that saying, oh my gosh, I don't like that he faced adversity and that he got tested over. I'm not so sure about this guy now. Like, he didn't put him away in 3 minutes. So it's like, which is it? Did you want him to get tested or not? So I felt good about the performance. What did you think, James?
I loved it. As you mentioned, fight of the year, I think it's going to be hard for any fight coming up for the rest of the calendar year to beat that. Pretty much everything worked out as well as a fight fan that's objective, at least, wanted it to. Chimaev got tested. Burns performed. I said last week, as long as if Burns makes it a tough fight, he did his job. He more than did his job. There are a few people out there that think he won. I don't think that's the case, but I loved it. And there's a lot of different ways to go through this. But one point I want to make just to start off before we toss to you, Frank. From now on, can we stop making machines out of these prospects? We pretty much labeled Chimaev as a machine, the guy that's going to run through the pound for pound king right now. And Kamaru Usman in a round or two. The hype train was way too much. And I did have this thought in the back of my mind. I'm like, well, if Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington and top guys in that division were fighting the 20th ranked or the 25th ranked guy in their division, they would run through him in a round as well. So Chimaev proved that he's in the top 2, in the top 3 conversation. But let's not, after seeing him fight against Burns for sure, let's not make him that machine that a lot of people were saying is. He can get hurt. He can get dropped if he wants to brawl and go away from his skills like he did. That he can pay for that technically as well. He has a few holes that he needs to work on, but he's legit. I mean, he did prove he's legit. So I think it was a win-win for everybody. I don't think anyone comes out. Even Gilbert Burns, I think his stock rose after this fight.
Yeah, Alex, you were saying, fans talking out both sides of their mouths. It's the Nurmagomedov effect. I talked about it last week on the show. Did you ever see Khabib in danger? Did you ever see Khabib in his career? The same reason we were immediately on this Chechnyan, superstar, super ascending star in the welterweight division was, I believe, the Nurmagomedov effect. And then seeing him struggle was, not part of the Nurmagomedov effect that we're supposed to enjoy. But I think more importantly, I think there's a lot of, I don't want to call it hate, but I don't think Kamaru Usman's the most popular champion in some circles. And I think there was a lot of excitement that there might be somebody that could beat Kamaru Usman. Because look what he's done to 4 nobodies that he's fought in the UFC. And what we found out, and why I think a lot of people are disappointed, is we found out that while he belongs in the top, look, this might be a little bit controversial, but while he belongs in the top 10, he is not in the echelon of Kamaru Usman and then Colby Covington right below. He's not even close. And I'll make that argument to the show, but not even close. But incredibly game, incredibly talented, very bright future, and the best fight on the card.
Yeah.
But he's not going to beat Kamaru Usman anytime in the foreseeable future. Forget about it.
Because I don't know, because I think part of it might be, I think he can learn a lot from the way he approached this fight, because if there's one negative I can pick out on Chimaev, and that negative led this to be an incredible fight, I thought he was just a little bit careless. Maybe that was just because he'd never gone that deep in a fight before, because he'd never gone up against somebody as good and who hits as hard as Gilbert Burns. But and also, guys, I think part of it is when you're undefeated coming in and you've never tasted adversity before, Khamzat Chimaev, I'm sure, feels like he's invincible. Like, I'm sure the guy had only absorbed one significant strike in his UFC career. And I think within the first minute and a half, he had absorbed 2 or 3 significant strikes in this fight. So he probably learned a lot about himself, right? In that, when you feel invincible, you may not be ready for, I think he had a plan B in this fight, but maybe he wasn't, didn't have a plan C or D. So I would hope that for Chimaev that maybe he can learn how to strategize a little bit better going up against a guy like a Colby Covington or a Kamaru Usman. So, so that was, to me, if I'm going to nitpick anything, it was that maybe Chimaev was just a little bit too eager to allow himself to get hit, should have gone to the wrestling and the control a little bit more often than he did. I thought that he edged out round 1. I thought Gilbert Burns clearly won round 2. That was the round where he clipped him with a big right hand. And at that point, I thought I could kiss my parlay goodbye. Little did I know Aljamain Sterling would ruin my parlay, a fight later. But I'm like, oh no, is Gilbert Burns actually going to win this thing? And then Chimaev, I thought clearly edged out round 3. So it was a close fight. It was a fun fight. And as far as and Frank, I can start with you on this after I say my piece. As far as what Khamzat Chimaev did well, it was very important for me to see how he would respond to getting hit, losing a round, because he lost the second round, came back and won the third round. I thought we learned a lot about Khamzat's striking, that he's not just a guy who's going to hit you, clip you once, and then finish a fight, where he could actually sustain, I thought, a really diverse kickboxing attack. I mean, the way he was switching stances, the uppercut was very dangerous. We know he's a really, really strong grappler. There was a moment, I think it was in the first round, where he was on top of Burns and he just dragged him like 5 feet like a rag doll. I'm like, how strong is this guy? So, I mean, listen, overall, I know some people come away with that. And listen, Frank, I thought what you said was fair. Some people come away with that and saying, okay, a little bit of the mystique is broken. But I thought that a lot of the things that I thought highly of with Khamzat Chimaev, I thought were reinforced in this fight. So I thought he did a lot of things well. And for the adversity that he did suffer, I give Gilbert Burns a lot of credit. And let's not forget, Gilbert Burns was like one big punch away from knocking out Kamaru Usman when they fought. I mean, he really hurt him early in that fight. So this is a tough dude, number 2 guy in the division coming in.
Yeah, I actually think, I actually was one of those people who was a little on the fence at the conclusion of that fight over whether or not I disagreed with the decision. I didn't think it was as clear. I won't argue it. I wasn't passionately disappointed, but I don't think it was clear that Chimaev won that third round. I thought they were throwing some punches back and forth with a lot of velocity, each at each other, and I wasn't so sure. Chimaev, it's a shame the way they managed him, right? He's fought 4 nobodies, and he goes right to Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
And now we know right away, at least my opinion, I think Colby smokes him on cardio alone. And I think Kamaru Usman has cardio and the size and power. So it's just like, so now I don't know what he does. Now he's got to fight backwards now. You know what I mean? I guess the one thing that might be positive for him is that other people will now want to take this fight because they may say, okay, I think I've seen this. I think I can figure this out. But so maybe he'll pick up a fight. But it's a weird way to manage a young fighter on the rise. 4 nobodies, and then you go right to the top of the food chain. You escape, in my opinion, with a win. And now what do? Now you fight the 8th best guy, the 11th best guy. I don't know what he does now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And with Colby, I'm curious to see how Chimaev will look in round 4 and round 5. That's one of the unanswered questions that we have after this Gilbert Burns fight. And it's no fault of theirs. It was a 3-round fight. But what if that fight did go 5 rounds? Who would have ran out of gas first? Would they, still brawl in the 4th and 5th round? How would Chimaev have looked? So I think that's kind of the next question going in. Especially if he faces Colby Covington, who has, probably the best gas tank in the UFC, in general. So I don't know if Colby smokes him. I think that's a little strong. I'd be curious to see what the odds are. I think the odds will probably be maybe Colby's a little bit of a favorite or pick him. Kind of fight because Colby doesn't have that knockout power that Burns has, and I think that knockout power is what kind of made it a really tough fight, for Chimaev, because for whatever reason he kept getting hit by that right hand, and every time it hurt. He probably got hit 4 or 5 times in those 3 rounds by a strong right hand and dropped him in the 2nd round, and he ate the other ones. But yeah, I think Chimaev's going to get better too. Let's give him credit. He won a tough fight. He's probably not going to fight for another 5 or 6 months. And, well, I don't know when the date for the ABC card is, but
I don't know if they announce it later this year. I want to say it's in the summer, but I'm not 100% sure. But later this year on ABC.
But he'll have another full fight camp to get better, and I think the fighter we'll see in the next fight will be better than the one that we saw, last week.
I want to remind everybody. Oh, sorry to cut you off, Frank, but everyone, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. And if you're watching us on the Combat Center YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe there as well. It's a brand new channel. We simulcast on the 2 of those.
I was just going to say that, you're probably right. Smoke was too strong a word. But I just think that both Colby and Kamaru, I'm kind of lumping those 2 together in terms of their really high-level wrestling background. I just feel like right now, and Chimaev has a lot of growing to do, obviously, and he has all the talent in the world. So I'm sure that there's nothing but upside with this kid. But right now, it's a blitzkrieg to overwhelm you, get you on the ground, and then do his thing and finish the fight very quickly. The wrestling of both Colby and Kamaru, that's just not going to happen. So then you're talking about 2 guys, again, Kamaru and Colby, whose striking has improved tremendously. And they can throw hundreds and hundreds of punches in a 5-round fight and never stop. Both guys, and Kamaru is just bigger and stronger version of that. In my opinion, that's really what separates those 2. Is Kamaru is a bigger and stronger version of that. So, pitting him, I mean, as delicious as that ABC card sounds, right? Because, you have this American villain versus this Chechnyan sensation. As delicious as it sounds, it has all the makings of really derailing a young man's ascent in a way. Again, I'm coming back to the mismanagement, but I just don't like it.
But it's the fight you have to make though, right? Because who else because he just beat the number 2 guy in the division. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So doesn't it make perfect sense that then he fights the number 1 guy? And those rankings, by the way, exclude the champion. So the way the UFC does the rankings, Kamaru Usman is the champ. Colby Covington is number 1, meaning the number 1 contender. Khamzat just beat Gilbert Burns, who's the number 2 guy. So it's the only logical thing. You do Colby versus Khamzat next. And yeah, Dana White said it before the fight with Pat McAfee that he wanted the winner of that fight to fight Colby Covington on the ABC card, network TV. So it wouldn't even be a pay-per-view, which I think would be kind of fun. I know we're all conditioned like Pavlov's dog. We all pay, the $75, or we go to the Quarter Deck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill for 0 cover charge for all the pay-per-views. But it is nice to get something on free broadcast TV. Yeah. And Dana said it after the fight as well, that he thinks it makes sense to do Khamzat Chimaev, Colby Covington. And I think this is a good point by Tony 2 times. And guys, I'll be honest, I'd probably slightly favor Colby Covington in the fight. I agree that he's not going to smoke anybody, but I would probably favor Colby in the fight. But I think it's a good point by Tony. According to Khamzat's camp and people who train in his orbit, the guy has a gas tank for days. A main event 5-round fight versus Colby would show if Khamzat could hang. I mean, that would be the perfect test right there. And here's the way, Frank, the Vegas odds are stacking up so far. Now, the fight hasn't officially been made yet, so this can change. But the betting line that is out there right now, and it's moved around a little bit. I think it initially opened up with Khamzat as a somewhat sizable favorite. I think Colby was a slight favorite for a while. Last I checked, it's basically a pick'em fight, close to it. I mean, Khamzat Chimaev minus 125 favorite against Colby Covington plus 105 underdog. So if it were to stay like that, I would put a little money on Colby to get, more
Can't believe they're still drinking that Kool-Aid in Vegas, man. I don't understand it. I mean, we just saw the guy blow his gas tank in one round. I mean, I just watched it, so, and the fight, as exciting as it was sloppy as hell. I mean, yeah, I mean, the guy's got, I mean, like again, I'm going to lump the two together out of respect, the incredible respect I have for both guys. But both guys, Colby and Kamaru, their striking is tight. They stay in game plan. They don't break from game plan. Neither guy. I mean, they stay on a pace that will break you. I mean, it's just like, forget about it. I hate to say this, but like Usman or Colby, it's a little bit of a walk in the park for them. It's like going on a 5-mile run. I mean, it's just, hey, I'm going to throw 147 punches in the first round, and I'll see you after the bell, sucker. And I'm not sitting down in between. And I just think it's going to be a long night, unless he can figure out a way to take either one of those guys down in a fight. How the hell is he going to do that?
Something I saw that was interesting against Burns is that when he got Burns down, I think it was in the first round, he didn't really feel comfortable with Burns' jiu-jitsu, from the bottom. And from there on, he got up and said, oh, no, not doing that anymore. Didn't like how that felt. So not that Kamaru or Colby are these jiu-jitsu experts, but that did show a hole in Khamzat's game that, when he usually got people down and just smashed them. But when he kind of felt that high-level jiu-jitsu, he didn't want anything to do with it. So I thought that was an interesting detail that other future opponents can take advantage of.
That's a great point. And, as going with the gas tank, fighting Colby Covington, you want to get tired? Work real hard trying to take him down and then watch him pop right back up to his feet after you've put in about 2.5 minutes of mind-bending work trying to get him in even the most slight compromised position. I mean, I just think it's too much for this young fighter. I'm actually trying to defend him in a way. I mean, I just think he's not ready for that yet. Yeah. They walked John Jones through this thing years ago. Like they wouldn't let him fight anybody forever.
That's right. Yeah, they had it. He fought the janitor, Vladimir Matyashenko. He fought Brandon Vera. All these dudes, you knew he was gonna just smash. And they didn't even want to give him a title fight at first, right? Because it was supposed to be Rashad Evans getting a title fight, and then they're like, oh well, he can't fight now. I don't remember if he got hurt. There was a whole thing, and then they're like, oh, let's give it to John Jones. So he wasn't even supposed to get a title fight when he got it.
Yeah, it's really a shame because, I mean, that's how you make superstars like John Jones, and he's probably the greatest fighter we've ever seen and might see for quite some time. And I think this guy has all the upside too, but I don't know. I thought he escaped Saturday, and I think against Colby, I think he will lose. And then I don't, obviously he'll get better, but I think they could have managed that better.
So they also have odds out for a potential, not that I'm expecting this to happen right away, but if Chimaev were to just get a title shot, if the UFC would just decide, Leon Edwards, thanks but no thanks,
hey,
you're out.
Done it before.
They've done it before. If they just decide to shoot Chimaev right into a title fight, this would be a fight where he actually would be an underdog, Chimaev, that they would favor, and it's close though, that they would favor the odds makers. Usman would be a betting favorite at minus 135 with Chimaev at plus 115.
Yes,
so they're giving him a lot of respect.
Well, it's just what I'm saying. That Vegas is treating Usman and Covington as the same person, just one a little bigger and stronger, and that's really the difference. So, yeah, it's do you guys think at any level that Chimaev getting this Burns fight and now possibly even fighting for a title after this fight last Saturday, do you think there's like a Jake Paul thing happening? Because he's got millions of Instagram followers.
He does.
Is this the Jake Paul dynamic seeping in? I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm suggesting he's
I don't know. I feel like you're disrespecting the man's skills. I mean, he just beat Gilbert Burns and he's undefeated.
I'm not so sure he did.
You're acting like this is CM Punk in the octagon. Give Chimaev a little more respect, man.
I am respectful of the tremendous upside that is him, but like, come on, man. An argument could be made that Gilbert Burns won that fight.
I'll throw a little food for thought in here, and I'm not even sure. I'm not sure where I stand on this comment, but I'll make it just in case. Is it possible that Chimaev's fight against Burns can be what Adesanya's fight against? I'm losing the wrestler, the wrestler where he really struggled.
Blachowicz?
No, before Blachowicz.
No, he's talking about the Ultimate Fighter winner.
Alex. Yes, Gastelum.
Gastelum. Sorry.
Could the Burns fight be to Chimaev what the Gastelum fight was to Adesanya, where Adesanya was uncharacteristically sloppy? He got hit way more than he usually does in that fight, and he learned from it. And from there, it was all systems go. He kind of changed things up. He shored things up, his defense, and probably fights a little safer now than he did prior to that fight. But since then, he's taken off like a rocket ship because he learned by taking a beating in that Gastelum fight.
That's what I'm thinking.
Could the Burns fight be that?
That's what I mean. Chimaev is 24 years old. This guy's a sponge. Like he is going to soak up what just happened to him, and it's going to make him better. Like I don't know if it makes him like better than Kamaru Usman better, even better than Colby Covington better, but I think he's going to be less sloppy in his next fight. I think if it's him and Colby this summer live on ABC, I think it's going to be a really close fight, and I don't think he's going to be as sloppy.
It feels like the UFC really wants Chimaev to be the champion of the welterweight division. Feels like they can't wait for that to happen. I don't know. I just get that sense.
All right, well, let's get into it. And by the way, I want to let people
followers. By the way, it's the Instagram followers.
Yeah, I want more Instagram. I got a decent amount of Twitter followers, but Instagram, I don't know. There's like maybe a couple hundred people following me. I want more Instagram follow. I got to learn the Khamzat tactics. I just want to let people know what's coming up later on in the show. And around 6:45, bros, I'm excited for this. We are going to watch some of Frank Zaffere's training footage. And Frank, total respect. I was watching some of this before the show. I'm impressed. Like I told you this before the show started. You thought I'm just blowing smoke and I'm lying to you. Like seriously, man, because when I watch you, I can like kind of relate to knowing that you a couple months ago you were a complete novice and you just started doing this. So I'm like putting myself in your shoes. Like I'm not looking at you like I'm expecting to watch Khamzat Chimaev hitting pads.
I'm looking for a fight with Chimaev. I mean, I'm trying to get one on the show, right?
It sounds like you think you can beat him the way you're talking. But no, like, seriously, I am impressed, and we're gonna break down some of the footage. And your coach, Brian Jackson, he joins us frequently, and he's great. Like we can not only talk about Frank, we can talk about current events in mixed martial arts. He's gonna be joining us a little bit later as well. But before we get to all that, Frank, why don't we dive headfirst into another edition of The Toss-Up?
All right, guys. Aljamain Sterling won a split decision over I can't say it, Peter Yan. Let's just call him Peter. How did you guys score it?
Bro, I watched that fight 2 different times, and I came up with 2 different scores. Let me say first, I was really impressed with Aljamain Sterling, and I don't like people saying he won by robbery. You're being ridiculous. Like it was such a close fight. It was not a robbery. I think you can make an argument for either guy, or you can make an argument for a draw. Okay. Like, so to me, I thought if you're just going by who won what round, regardless of how you scored each round, I thought Yan edged out the first round. I thought Sterling clearly won the second round. Clearly won the third round, so he was up 2-1 heading into the championship rounds. And then I thought Yan edged out the fourth round and edged out the fifth round. So for anyone who saw it the same way I saw it, if you don't include any 10-8s, if you're just going 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10, and so on, then you could say, yeah, Piotr Yan won 3 out of 5 rounds, should have won the fight. That's even what Dana White said afterwards. But the thing where it gets so freaking complicated, guys, is Aljamain Sterling had Yan's back for almost the entire second and third rounds. And in the second round, especially, that I thought could have been scored at 10-8, was threatening for chokes the entire time. I mean, Piotr Yan had no offense whatsoever in the second round, very little in the third round. Third round was probably a 10-9, but second round could have very well been a 10-8. So then if you go 10-9 Yan round 1, and maybe you didn't because some people thought Sterling won the first round, but if you go 10-9 Yan round 1, 10-8 Sterling round 2, 10-9 Sterling round 3, 10-9 Jan round 4, 10-9 Jan round 5. You got yourself a draw, right? So, when I watched the fight originally Saturday night, and I was very sleepy because it was on very late. But when I watched it initially Saturday night, I thought Jan won the fight. When I watched it again Sunday afternoon on replay, I thought, shoot, that's a draw. And I wouldn't even be upset for whoever, and 2 out of 3 judges did scored it for Sterling. And then, James, I'll add this to the pie as well. Even if anyone out there thinks based on round by round that Jan should have won that fight, I don't see how anyone can come away not being more impressed with Aljamain Sterling than Piotr Jan, because the rounds that Sterling won, he did a lot more. I thought that he was the standout fighter there. So I can say this. I didn't say it last week, but I think Aljamain Sterling now has an actual somewhat legitimate claim to being the bantamweight champion of the world. I didn't think he had that before Saturday.
I actually scored it the same way you did the first time. I scored it 3-2, Peter Jan. Same rounds, won the Jan, even though that one was probably the closest, 4 and 5. 2 and 3, definitely to Sterling. I would not have given Sterling the 10-8 because even though he was constantly threatening to choke, he didn't have anything in tight to where Jan was, about to tap or in like imminent danger. So to me, if he would have got him in like I can't remember the names today. Brian Ortega had Volkanovski in that kind of choke where, he's close to tapping, then I could give it a 10-8. But yeah, I had it 3-2, but I didn't feel, it was one of those fights that I didn't feel strongly either way in terms of who won. I thought, well, I had Jan 3-2, but hey, if another judge gave him, the other way around, I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys, but I didn't have like a second look. I thought it was a draw. As the fight was going on, I was scoring in my head, and then reviewing the fight later, I really thought it was a draw. But I don't want to take anything away from Aljamain Sterling. He shocked the MMA world. I think everybody thought that was a slam dunk for Jan. I thought everybody thought that was going to be a walkover of your parlay ambitions, Alex. That was the one you were the most comfortable with, I bet. Or maybe a tie between that and the main event. But I think you were super confident in that fight, just wondering exactly how it would happen and hoping Jan wouldn't disqualify himself with violence. But Aljamain proved to be really, really impressive, and I couldn't have been happier for him. He dropped a lot of F-bombs for a really nice guy at the end of that fight, which shows you all the frustration he's been dealing with, being called, a faker and an actor and, robbing and having a fake belt and everything else. All those emotions he channeled, but he channeled them in a way that was effective. He didn't let emotion get the better of him. Could not have been more impressed with his performance, but still thought it was a draw.
Boy, the people in the crowd hated him, and it's crazy because, you wouldn't think.
Because they all bet Jan.
That could be it. I was still surprised because, I don't consider Miami to be the South. Jacksonville is the South. Jacksonville is the deep South. And to have a Jacksonville, Florida crowd cheering for a guy from Russia over a guy from the United States of America, I think that goes to show you how much Aljamain Sterling is not very well liked by the fan base when they're, and I did hear a few people try to get a USA chant, but for the most part, they were chanting and they were saying his name the way Frank says it. They were chanting Peter. So you saw who they were rooting for.
Come on. All right, Henry Cejudo is in the USADA testing protocol and wants to fight Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight title. Would he stand a chance?
I'm thinking he would stand a chance. Is that a crazy thing to say? And that's despite, we haven't even talked about Volkanovski just dismantling Korean Zombie. I mean, Volkanovski, he looks unbeatable right now at that weight class, but how can I not give a chance to the most decorated combat sports athlete of all time? Triple C, Olympic champion, flyweight champion, bantamweight champion, and Henry Cejudo. He is such a good wrestler, Olympic gold medalist at that. Now, I wouldn't favor him in the fight, guys, because he would just be giving up so much size and so much length to Volkanovski. So I'd have to be crazy to favor Triple C in the fight. I didn't think Triple C would defeat Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson either. And, he proved a lot of people wrong during his career. I didn't think he'd win the bantamweight belt. He proved a lot of people wrong. And I before I ever knew he was for sure going to come back and fight. So he's in the USADA testing protocol, which you're not going to go through that unless you're serious about fighting. Because when you're in the protocol, they can knock on your door at the middle of the night for a urine sample. You're serious about wanting to fight again. And he wants to move up to 145 to become a 3-weight UFC champion. Conor McGregor wants to do the same thing, but Cejudo deserves that opportunity more than McGregor. But like, I don't know, it was about a month ago or so at the most recent Eagle FC event, I saw Cejudo, who's one of the commentators, and he's looking a little beefier. Like, he's still, unfortunately, he can't grow taller, but he's listed 5'4". That might be generous. So he's really short. But I noticed, like, he's put on some size, like muscle. And so it makes sense now that he's probably filling out his frame in a way he feels confident he can fight at 145. So I know that there are some people who say, why would you make this fight? I think you should make the fight because, I mean, if we're talking about giving Conor McGregor, a welterweight title shot, like, how can you say Henry Cejudo, who's actually earned everything he's gotten in the octagon, like, how can you say that guy doesn't deserve a title fight? So I hope they make it.
Yeah, credit to Cejudo for wanting to go up another weight class and get his third title in 3 weight classes, but I think he's barking up the wrong tree. I don't think Volkanovski is a good matchup for him. As you mentioned, Volkanovski is longer than he looks, and he's stronger than he looks. So he hits hard. He's in his prime. He's extremely technical. He works hard. Like, Volkanovski works hard to constantly get better. And I'm not even sure that he's hit his ceiling yet, at this point. He's running through the division. But he ran through the Korean Zombie like it was nothing. And after seeing him struggle against Max Holloway, a lot of people thought he lost some of those fights, things like that. It was good to see him, kind of have a runaway fight to where it was pretty convincing. So, and I think he's tired. I think he's in the process now. In his mind, I said this last week, where he wants to finish fights. He wants to prove that he's a dominant champion. He's not a champion who's going to win all these controversial decisions. So yeah, I think he's probably going to go on a run right now. Maybe if he fights Holloway, it could be a little different, but I think Cejudo's barking up the wrong tree at the wrong time with Volkanovski.
Yeah, we were talking, I guess, before the show that, I like the fact that Cejudo, if he's going to come back, at least he's trying to bite off a really big challenge, But, do either of you think it's suspicious that, he's eyeing moving up a weight class so he retires for a while, gains an extraordinary amount of muscle, and now is ready to re-enter the USADA testing protocol? So this is the new game that is played. You'll have a hard time convincing me that George Rush St. Pierre didn't play that game for a little while. This is the new thing. I'm retired. Okay, I'm back. I look better. And I'm ready to fight. And I'll fight until this wears off, and then I got to retire again, and I got to rejuice. But I think the league's better with Triple C in it, so I'd like to see him return. But I have a hard time imagining him beat Volkanovski. I just think he's finally going to get to that size that he just can't, his athleticism can't overcome.
Listen, I'm out of sight, out of mind. If he, as long as he tests negative when USADA is knocking on his door, that's all I care about.
You're a big pride guy, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are out of sight, out of mind.
Hey man,
in Pride they used to like force guys to take steroids. It's like, don't you think you'd fight a lot better if we juiced you up a little? Okay, if I don't have to pay for it, you're paying for it. All right.
On our previous radio existence, James, Alex, and I used to talk about Steroid Island off the coast of Brazil. Where we could get around all this USADA nonsense, but they just wouldn't do it. Are you more excited for the Bellator event on Friday or the UFC fight night on Saturday?
I'm leaning. It might just be because we've had so much UFC recently that I'm leaning to the Bellator card because just want to mix up a little bit. And I like a couple of these fights a lot. I am a huge AJ McKee fan. Even though he beat Patricio Pitbull pretty quickly the last time they fought, they are rematching for the featherweight title. But Patricio Pitbull, best Bellator featherweight of all time. I think that's a great fight, and I think, and I hope AJ McKee beats him again because I think that dude deserves more shine, right? Because there are certain fighters in Bellator that get some shine, but it's mostly former UFC guys that really get promoted more heavily. AJ McKee is basically a Bellator lifer. Like, he's been in Bellator, I think, his whole career, if not close to it. And I'd love to see him in the UFC someday. And so I think that's a big fight. Aaron Pico, ridiculously good wrestler. Now, the guy he's fighting is Aaron Pico's a minus 1,100 favorite. So I don't think I'm going to be betting on Aaron Pico, but I like watching him wrestle. You've got Mr. Beasting 25-8 Corey Anderson taking on Vadim Nemkov with the light heavyweight fight on the card. And I like Corey Anderson a lot. So I think that's a good one. But, listen, I'm going to watch both cards. They're not conflicting, thankfully. You got one on Friday night, one on Saturday. And yeah, I am looking forward to Vicente Luque against Belal Muhammad. But I think overall, I think I'm a little bit more pumped, James, for Bellator.
Bellator has a deeper card with this particular weekend, so I give credit to Bellator on that. However, I do not have Showtime, so I will not be watching that. I will be checking out Vicente Luque and Belal Muhammad, which is a pretty good fight in itself.
It is, but guys, this comes down to Wikipedia pages when we're evaluating these fight cards, and there's no question the Bellator fight card has a much deeper name recognition / Wikipedia page presence than this UFC card. Yeah, I go down the UFC card. I'm going to bet you there's more than a couple that if they have one, it's just 2 sentences. I mean, it's just not much there. That's a one fight card for me, honestly. For the casual fan, that's a one fight card, and it's a hell of a great fight. But and by the way, on that whole subject, Luque is a great guy, a great fighter. Where is he in the pecking order? Where do you see his opportunity? How many fights does he have to win now to get his name thrown in the hat?
It's getting pretty log jammed, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
To me, Luque's on the Leon Edwards trail.
Right.
To the top. He has to win 10 fights in a row to even be considered. He's already on a 6-fight win streak, something like that.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I guess he needs to do.
Point.
I guess
he needs division.
He needs to do cooking episodes on Instagram like Chimaev, and then maybe he could jump over. I mean,
maybe he needs to go over to Bellator. They'd probably give him a title shot tomorrow.
Luque may be the hardest working guy in show business in the UFC. Here's a guy. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete, but here's a guy who took not superlative skills in any one area, and he turned it into a really tremendous career. That's just all hard work. Love that guy. Lunch pail guy. That should be his nickname.
If he wins this week and
head's like a lunch pail.
Burns just comes off a fight, you could put Luque and Burns in later this year, and that could be a top 5 fight.
I like that. I mean, they usually don't like to match winners versus losers, but I think you'd make an exception, especially since. And I think, James, you're the one who said it near the top of the show. And Frank, you'd probably agree since you weren't particularly impressed with Khamzat Chimaev's performance. I think even though Gilbert Burns lost the decision, I think that was a fight where he raised his stock despite that, right? Because, I mean, the over-under was a round and a half, right? So if you do the math, with the over-under being 1.5 rounds and Khamzat Chimaev being a minus 525 favorite, that means they didn't expect Gilbert Burns to last more than about 7.5 minutes in that fight. So yeah, I mean, I think he definitely raised his stock because he made it close enough that you thought, I thought Chimaev won the decision. Frank had a few doubts there. I mean, I had some doubts only because when you bet on somebody, and I didn't bet Chimaev straight up because I don't enjoy minus 525 odds, but I had him in a 4-fight parlay, and I've been hard done by decisions before. When I bet, it never happens when I don't bet on a fighter. Every bad decision you've ever seen in UFC history, Leonard Garcia over Nam Fan 10 years ago is probably the worst decision of all time. Every bad decision in UFC history, I had my money on the person who got robbed. I got really robbed in a Miranda Maverick fight a few months ago. It's I'm still angry about that one. It was probably before Christmas. So if you see a guy hard done by a decision, it usually means I have money on them. And so, for anyone who thought Piotr Jan, if you thought he was hard done, I had Aljamain Sterling in my parlay. That's the guy who busted my parlay because I didn't think he was going to beat Jan.
Well, it was a tremendous card. I want to qualify something here, guys. I am not down on Chimaev. I just don't like how they're managing him. And I don't think the expectations meet where the product is right now. And I just want to enunciate that I thought Gilbert Burns, it was revealing. This is not Khabib Nurmagomedov. This is a work in progress, a tremendous work in progress, a scary work in progress, but still a work in progress. He is not at the level of Colby or Kamaru Usman. That's really what I was trying to say.
So we're going to be joined in about 5 minutes by Frank Zaffere's head coach, Brian Jackson. Let's start bringing up some of the footage. And I can't wait to see Frank is going to turn beet red. But I'm telling you, and I'd love to see how James feels about it. I think Frank looked pretty good. Okay, can you see that there on the screen? I'm going to hit play on this video. So we got 3 different videos. We're going to show you a portion of each one because they are very long. We're only just going to show you like a couple minute snippets. So first, I'm going to show you pad work, Frank hitting mitts, and the you got a pale guy and an even paler guy. The paler guy is Frank's coach. The one with the pale legs is Frank. But I got to tell you, man, I think he looks pretty good. Hold on 1 second. You're gonna get a better angle here in a moment, by the way. There's Frank looking sharp,
looking very white, clear almost.
Yeah. We're gonna get a better angle on his body, but like even from here where he's like obstructed, it sounds like you're hitting those pads hard, Frank. Like it really does. Now, this was video from last week, right? So at this point, Frank, how long have you been training now?
That was that's my 3rd full week.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 weeks, but there was a partial one. There was a partial one. So.
The hands look good.
Yeah. Good base.
It's all technique work, so it's just, it's not. It's a far cry from boxing. Jake Paul would be laughing right now.
Well, do you remember about a year ago or less than that when Evander Holyfield boxed Vitor Belfort, and then there was video of Holyfield hitting pads? And when I saw that video, I'm like, they need to save this guy from himself. Like, he should not be licensed and allowed to fight anywhere. So, Frank, we can confidently say, at least in 2022, Frank Zaffere looks better hitting pads than Evander Holyfield.
Please don't tell Evander Holyfield that. I don't want any trouble.
And look at it. Listen, me Junior, he's right. The footwork looks good too, and that all goes with the technique. I mean, is that like Frank? What is the most difficult part about learning this technique? Because I mean, people who haven't done it maybe don't realize how many factors come into play, from the head movement, the hand placement, and the footwork.
Well, the footwork is probably the hardest because you're thinking about it when you're learning it, and then also everything is coming from the hips. So that's difficult as well, because you have to be, where you position yourself on your hips leads you to the next punch, etc. So it's difficult. But I don't hit the pads, Craig. Apparently I hit the pads too hard. Brian can talk about that after. Yeah, so I'm supposed to work on that.
Hold on, I want to pull up some. What do you want to watch next? Do you want to watch groundwork or grappling? We'll let you. Dealer's choice.
They're equally embarrassing. So.
Would you say that the pad work is that the least embarrassing? Oh, what is this? Hold on. Can't preview this file. Oh, I don't want to sabotage this. Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah, but you're gonna have to flip it, I guess. I don't know.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Hold on. Well, if everyone turns their head sideways, that would work, right?
Well, this first part is just him cleaning the mat.
Hold on.
You didn't do a lot of queuing up here.
Well, I could only have one queued up at a time. Otherwise, it would. If I had 3 windows open, this old laptop would not move. Hold on.
Yeah, just took a break.
Okay, here we go. This is a good part, right?
Yeah, this is him mauling me. Yeah. Okay. So I think we might be. I think if you fast forward a little more, we'll actually be in some live rounds.
Sure. I'm gonna go like to the middle-ish part of the video. This?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see if we hear a bell.
Okay. Hey, look, you see Frank on top? He's passing guard. Is Brian thinking about tapping?
No, he's coaching, guys. I think you got to go a little further up, and we'll get a bell.
Yeah, I'll do that. Hold on. Let me skip ahead a little further.
That's how important it is.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
here's your bell.
When you get a bell. I'm just trying to fight out of his control here. A lot of grunting.
I'm getting tired just watching this. Look at passing guards. Good technique.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, I think in this one I get caught in a triangle choke armbar. But I'm not sure exactly when that happens. But
by the way, and I think, like, honestly, like, me Junior, I think he knows what he's taught. I think he must have some training experience, and he says better than Chuck Liddell.
Not sure what happened right there.
Well, no, and I got to tell you, man, because you remember our friend, may you rest in peace, Howard Davis Jr., who, after he had a great, especially amateur boxing career, was a Olympic gold medalist in '76, and he spent like the last 20 years of his life training MMA fighters in boxing. And Howard spent like probably 3 training camps late in Chuck Liddell's career, like trying to teach Chuck better boxing technique. And like Howard used to tell me that like Chuck didn't have great form and like at all. Like, he was just a puncher, like not a great boxer. And so listen, I think me Junior may be onto something. You may have that better technique. So
see, he breaks into coaching periodically, so you gotta keep. Yeah.
Do you want me to skip ahead a little more? I can.
Sure.
Here we go.
Maybe go to the 50-minute mark.
Okay, 50.
I think we'll be doing maybe some rear naked choke drills there.
As long as I'm getting the spinning wheel of death. Yeah, they just keep doing it. Like I've got it. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we're fighting here. Oh, I think it froze.
Oh my God. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah,
these are big video files. So.
Yeah, here we go. So this
it's gonna freeze periodically.
Yeah, this is a rest.
Your arms out, big time.
So I blew my arms out trying to choke him unsuccessfully. So.
Okay, there's the rear naked choke.
Well, I'm trying to land it, and then he's toying with me, and then eventually he'll reverse
me.
A
young Aljamain Sterling taking the back constantly.
Backpack Junior, right?
That's not bad.
I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Sorry, guys. I thought Alex was going to go through this and find something with some entertaining value. So,
well, I only was able to queue up one thing at a time. And here's the coach, by the way. Brian Jackson is with us, and Brian, we watched a little bit of the pad work, and we can go back to that later if you want. We're watching near the end of the grappling session. So why don't you tell us, Brian, how Frank did in your recent sessions with the grappling?
I'm trying to catch this. I should have. Oh, I got strong hips. Yeah, that's about how the grappling sessions go. My strong hips now. Oh wow, I feel bad about the quality of this. I'm a little embarrassed, but that's a nice phone Frank has.
If it makes it easier, I just muted it so it's easier to talk over without getting distracted.
Yeah, the other one's filmed in the correct aspect ratio, so it might be more pleasant.
Do you want to pull up the other one?
Sure, because this one's you got to look sideways. So
yeah, I know I'm gonna hurt my neck on this. So let's do this. Is the grappling one?
Oh,
it did the same thing to me last time. Hold on. I don't know how long it's gonna take. It's gonna take like 10 minutes to download this. Hold on.
Well, we did great show prep, Brian. You can see we're ready to go.
It's all right. I just oh my goodness, I just woke up, so I need to. I need to download my profile. So yeah, I got to train Frank after this. So I needed to.
Yeah, we got to rest up. Yeah, we got to work out after this.
My Dropbox is out of space. Oh man, hold
Excellent.
On. This low. Okay, here. It was this. I was on the wrong one. Hold on. Oh no, grappling. Was that what I was on, or you want groundwork?
You're on the one that. Yeah, you can't download that one, so you must. Yeah, you're out of space.
What did you guys think of the pad work? That's more.
I can go back to that if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Let me go back to the pad work.
Oh my God,
Brian, we happen to like the sound of him hitting the pads, but I think Frank said you said it was too loud. What do you mean by that?
No, I'm trying to hit him too hard, but I'll let him talk. But
yeah, he's hitting so hard that it's like the first time in a while it hurts my forearms. So that is a testament to how hard he's throwing, but. Whenever you hold for a pro fighter, typically it's better than holding for someone starting out just because they know how to
take it easy
control their power.
Hold on. Let's get a little bit of this. Let's get to there we go. Now the angle where we can start to see Frank a little bit.
Wait.
Oh boy.
Here to pop.
And Brian, I thought in the chat agreed, and James agreed. I thought Frank looks comfortable. Like he's looking pretty good. It sounds like he's hitting hard.
Yeah, no, he can hit hard for sure. Yeah, sorry, it's the first time I get to see it, so I'm just kind of making sure he's doing all the right stuff.
And let us know if he's not. Please let us know if he's not doing the right stuff.
Yeah, the things, if you see his lead foot, he's having trouble pivoting a lot on the lead punches, like the lead hook. Just getting the hips moving. It's like Connor said, everybody, you're stiff. Your foot's stiff. So that was my Connor. So
that was not a very good Connor.
What do you know? You're a Diaz fan. My goodness. Shame on you.
Don't be scared,
proper
homie.
12 on your head. All right.
I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
I've strangled that little weasel in under 3 rounds. Let me tell you this. All right? Don't be disrespecting the Irish here. Okay?
I was getting better as you go. Yeah, it's getting better.
It was actually getting better.
Yeah.
They're always after me like
I like the fact that I'm out of this video at this point, so it's just Frank hitting a white wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. I want to try to open up the other one again. I think I figured out how to do it without downloading the whole thing. Hold on.
God help us.
So what I'm actually looking to do now, I'm possibly going to check with Dean and see if he can get
1080p, bro.
Okay.
Frank is very excited about the video quality, the 1080p. See, I knew, Frank, this is what worked before. I had to, for some reason, I have to hit refresh, and then it lets me watch the video.
Fighting in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's a possibility. I want to check with Dean and see if he's because we need somebody who's a black belt who's registered with the IBJJF, because I'd like to promote ourselves the brown belt. There's a no-gi tournament in July, and I do see that there's a Masters 5, which is Frank's age, a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, so he would have a match against somebody. I would love to go up there and see if he could not get submitted. So in this video right here, we're pummeling. So this is something, if Dean sees, he struggled with the first practice, and now he can do it pretty effortlessly. So
it's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing good. He's working really hard, and he's getting one-on-one instruction every time. So it's not like he's going to be making a lot of the same mistakes.
Yeah, and Brian, as a guy, I mean, you trained for so many years. Like, how uncommon is that? Like, and obviously, like the really high level fighters, they can get one-on-one work. But as far as one-on-one instruction, like you give in Frank, that's not a very common thing at the lower levels.
Yeah, because usually fighters are younger. They can't afford training. Frank's investing. He books me out for the week, and I'm on call basically. So he wakes up wanting to crack the pads. I got to get up, So yeah, that's a big thing. Where obviously, if you have a trainer that's going to focus on you, I think that's the new wave anyway. I know Colby's kind of seeing success with that, where he's at Masters MMA. I know American Top Team, he was basically waiting. Sorry, I'm bad at multitask. I'm just trying to review this because this is the first time. This is a good drill that we're doing here. This is just to see if Frank can stand up in someone's guard. Yeah, I always tell him. So I showed him some triangle defense. I don't know if you guys caught that.
No, we just got this video open. So yeah, this is where you triangle choke me a few times.
This is something like if people are just watching this video without any context, it's it's like what the hell? What the hell is going on here?
Frank was like saying that people were taking pictures of us because they thought I was famous. I said no, Frank. We ended up on their TikTok, and these guys are in the gym grappling.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like 3 people filming us.
Oh my
We actually have a little team in there though. We got some we got like this one guy that trains with us. He jumps rope and then hits the bag, and then we got. Oh man, Frank? Did you tell him about the one Paulo Costa?
No, I wanted you to tell that story. No, I wanted you to tell that story.
So one of the nice confidence builders that we've had. Upload Fitness in Fort Lauderdale has been very nice enough to allow us to do this in a gym, which most gyms would not allow you to. Get away with this, but they're very lenient. And apparently their T-shirt policy is optional. So this one very muscular guy came out and took his shirt off, and there was a bag right in the middle of the floor while me and Frank was getting some work in. And this guy just, starts going off on the bag, and it's just, you can see how bad his form is. And I'm just like, look, Frank, if you sat down on a punch, you would lay that guy out pretty easily. And I think he saw a lot of the holes in his game, and it was just nice to see, the guy looked, very much like Paulo Costa. I mean, it was identical.
Just a monster. Yeah. Just an absolute monster.
It was just nice for Frank to see, like, look, all this sloppiness, all that muscle doesn't matter if it's not used correctly. So, and then go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask you. I didn't realize you have more maybe on that, but how do you feel about? Because it looks to me like Frank's striking form clearly improving. How do you feel about his mat work?
Well, one side referred to it as aggressive snuggling. It's improved drastically. So, there we go. Look at me, good cameraographer.
Oh, you're starting to bell here. I think we actually do some stuff here, maybe.
Oh, here we go.
Cool.
Yeah,
I muted it so it wasn't so distracting.
Yeah, thank you. It was I'm distracted as is, but what is this? We got some live stuff here.
Yeah, this one remember, I just would not put my hand on the hip, so I just could not execute this.
Yeah, but this is good that this shows a level of dedication. If Frank is studying, this tape, he's going to patch up these holes much quicker than, if you just let that stuff ride. So, I mean, we're training like a serious pro here. I mean, so this is him trying to break posture, get him posturing up in the guard.
Looks like Paul punches like Holyfield. I hope he means like Holyfield like 30 years ago, not Holyfield last year.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you remember, Brian? We were talking about that before you came on, Brian. Like before Holyfield, when he, I think it was Vitor Belfort, he was going to box against. And then that video surfaced of Holyfield hitting pads before the fight. And I watched it. I'm like, they cannot allow this guy to fight. And I've known for years, like Holyfield, that career of his, it takes a toll. Like he seemed punch drunk for a long time. I've interviewed him before. And it's like not very coherent. So, but Frank hits pads better than Holyfield today.
Yeah. Well, I mean that wasn't a good look for what commission was that again? That was
that Florida or was
that was Florida, I believe.
Yeah, it was Florida.
I think they fought at the casino, didn't they?
I think they did. Yeah.
The
Florida Commission doesn't have the most sterling reputation, kind of like Texas. Texas is like if you want to make sure you can get a fight done somewhere, you go to either Texas or Florida. I mean, you could go to like a tribal commission as well, but Florida, Texas is usually where you would go because they're going to make fights that New Jersey, California, Nevada, New York probably would not allow.
Yeah.
So, watching some of this tape, I trying to critique myself. I came in the next practice and I said, Brian, I think I was really frustrated watching myself that I wasn't putting my hand where I was supposed to. He goes, yeah, imagine how I felt.
Oh man,
good work.
Yeah, we're just basically here we go.
Oh, triangle.
So what I told Frank is right here. The biggest mistake is to basically do what he's doing. I told him you got to ask God for help here. So you look up to the sky. And then that way you're arching up and you're going to posture up out of it. The last thing to do is ask Satan for help in that position because, you're looking down. And so I try to use a lot of metaphors in the training. I think it lets things settle in a little quicker. But the way we're doing things is sort of just spoon feed in the jiu-jitsu. Like, we're going to work from this position. This is what you got to worry about. And let's see if he can just focus on one thing. And then hopefully once we put it all together, he'll be able to do fine. Like I said, though, I'm really interested. I want to see if we can get someone to register us on the IBJJF, because there, like I said, there is a match for him his age. It'd be against someone much more experienced, but I think it'd be a nice little litmus test to see if we could go out there, maybe not get submitted, see if we can score some points in a positive manner. So that might be the first, like almost like a video game. That's the first boss that we need to pass. So something like a grappling tournament, I was thinking should be the first one. And then, we're going to get a good sparring sessions. Maybe I think we should set up something where we where maybe we film a sparring session, and it's going to be against like, someone the show knows or something. That way, maybe put a little pressure on it.
I'm a little nervous about this. This, like, he's got me going to like the Pan Am Games, Alex. I mean, I'm like, I think I'm like,
he's gonna be in Abu Dhabi.
I'm just gonna come out and say, hey, it was a big victory for me. No broken bones.
Yeah. It's like, wait, we just lined up Frank with Henner Gracie in the first round. He's the 1 seed and Frank is the 64 seed.
It's only the Orlando Open. It's not.
I know. I was being smart.
But the Pan Ams are there.
Yeah.
So that's a tough tournament. So I entered that tournament 2 years ago and I lost in the first round. So, but I was just trying to see what raw talent I have. Apparently,
this is a practice. I remember this scene. This is when he's trying to, because he had choked me a number of times, so he's trying to teach me how to apply this choke. And when I do it, he says, "Now just roll your hips." And I realized post-surgery, my hips just don't roll that way.
Oh no!
And I looked at him. I said, "I can't." He goes, "Well, then we're going to take this choke out of the bag. We're not going to do this." So we will not be attempting those.
Brian, what submissions can Frank do with no hips?
Right now he's basically got a guillotine and a rear naked choke. That there's outside possibility he could land, but it's still learning the submission game. That's the one taking the most time. Obviously, it's tough. It's tough. There's so much to it. Boxing's checkers, jiu-jitsu's chess. So it's a lot more complexities to it.
Frank, do you feel more comfortable on the bottom or on the top at this stage of training?
I don't. I think he's taught me just enough that I now know that I'm not comfortable anywhere. And no, but I mean, I'm being legit. Like, the boxing, I felt like, okay, maybe that's, as he said, it's checkers. So maybe I can learn the fundamentals more quickly. But then when we do just very, very light sparring, he could show me how difficult that could become really fast. And last night he did an imitation of a little Colby Covington pressure just for a minute or two for me. And it was, suffocating. So, I know enough, just barely enough to know that I got way too much to learn there. And then, as he said, the jiu-jitsu, for someone that knows what they're doing, and Brian certainly does, it's unbelievable to do just very short live rounds with him. When he decides to show me what he's capable of doing to me in any given moment, how many different things can happen, and your head is just spinning and you don't know which way to put your arm. Any way you put your arm, any which way you turn your head, you've turned into something, Wow. So it's like his feet are hands, his legs are arms.
I see he's demonstrating the triangle there. That's cool.
Yeah, and so
no body. Yeah,
he's landing at will multiple different submissions on me. So it's It's I think this first part of this experience has been just knowing that, at this point, there's no comfortable place.
Like Frank, do you with some of this, do you feel comfortable with your flexibility? Because like my main limitations as an athlete of any kind was a lack of flexibility. Do you feel like you're better with some of that stuff?
No, I'm definitely not a flexible person, but at this point that hasn't really been tested in any degree. So it's definitely something to work on. But right now we're just working on, Brian could speak this way better than me, but I think right now we're just working on fundamentals. So, being able to land something that requires, like a BJ Penn, like flexibility or something. I haven't, he hasn't asked that of me yet. So
It won't be.
all right. Thank you. And we haven't tried any kicks. And, we were talking about
I'm getting
that.
curious.
Yeah, he's getting curious. When you want to talk about lack of flexibility, Alex, I have no upward range on my leg. Like I can't, you know what I mean? I can't get my leg up.
Leg kicks, to do some leg kicks.
Well, he wants to experiment because he said it would really suck if I lost. And then I'm walking out angry and I just throw a leg kick in a bag and bend it in half. And he's like, why didn't we practice that? He's actually can do that. So
I just see how limiting it is, and we're taking away a lot of the tools that I had to teach. And I just would like to see maybe if he can throw a decent little roundhouse or a little front kick or something, if that's usable, because a little double jab, high kick to the head, that could get us out of a lot of trouble if we need it.
And that would be an awesome highlight reel to play on the show too. If Frank can get a head kick knockout, oh my God, you're going to be a legend.
Yeah, that would be one for the ages.
You have to bring my corner guy would have to throw a chair in there for me to stand on. To get that leg up.
That would also be a good video.
I have to fight Henry Cejudo. I need a 4'5" opponent.
Yeah, there you go.
I can do it.
Oh man. Well,
Speaking of kicks, because I'm dying to, this is the only chance I'm going to ask him, but I wanted to, I don't know if this was covered on the show. I wanted to ask James about how it was when Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out and what he thought about the stunner to Vince McMahon, how it looked live.
You know what? I actually didn't see the one to Vince, but I saw him fight Kevin Owens the night before. I saw the Saturday WrestleMania.
Oh, okay. It was the next night. How was that pop, though, when he walked out?
Oh, man, it was great. It was great. It was the whole show, the whole Saturday show. I don't know if they did this on purpose or what, but as you know, the Brock Lesnar, the big fight, the biggest of all time fight that they were hyping up with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar turned out to be kind of a dud because Roman Reigns got hurt. He popped his shoulder out in the middle of the fight of the wrestling match. So they had to end it early. But the Stone Cold match was awesome. They kind of did a little segment where he talked trash. You didn't know if he was going to wrestle or not. And all of a sudden, he challenged him to a wrestling match and an all-out brawl. And it was entertaining, man. It was really good. My favorite part of WrestleMania was Cody Rhodes coming back. I don't know if you know Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
the son
of course.
Dusty Rhodes. So I thought that was real good. He fought Seth Rollins, who was a good, a really good wrestler, and he beat him. So I think that really propelled Cody Rhodes right up to the top. So I thought they did that pretty well. I was entertained. I liked the Becky Lynch match as well. That was early on the card. I liked that fight as well against Bianca Belair. So it was a good night Saturday. I actually didn't see the Sunday night. WrestleMania being 2 nights, I think they can condense it to one like it used to be.
Yeah.
Just make one really good card instead of 2 nights where there's a lot of mediocrity.
It was almost inspiring the same way Stone Cold got that match because that's Stone Cold at 57. Frank would be trying to do something a little bit more intense than, wrestling's still pretty brutal on the body. So that's still, if Frank trains for 6 years, he could hopefully have a night like Stone Cold did the other night, but for reals, but that's great. I just sorry, I want to touch on that. I was fanned out by that moment last show when you guys told me James was not here because he's at WrestleMania. I was like, oh my gosh, that's can't believe Stone Cold's fighting after 19 years. That must have been amazing. Lucky dog. It's like
I wanted to ask
going to Nate Diaz's house or something.
Oh my god! If I went, oh my god, you're getting me excited. I would love an invite. But you know what? I would even prefer it if he invited me and then he wasn't even home when I showed up because that's the Diaz brother charm. But Brian, I wanted to ask you before we let you run. What did you think of Khamzat Chimaev's performance? Because the panel here was a little bit split on it. I thought Gilbert Burns is really tough, and I was happy to see Khamzat go through a little bit of adversity for the first time in his career. What did you think of that fight?
Well, this is one meme I saw the other day put it in such perspective. This guy's going to get compared to Khabib quite often in his
Frank
career,
said that. Yeah.
And they showed a meme. Khamzat Chimaev 11th fight, Gilbert Burns 20-5. Khabib, his 11th fight was against a guy that was 9-9, and it was in a small organization. So it just goes to show, like, what he has done has really only been done by, I would guess, John Jones, you could say, kind of rose fast as he did, because that's pretty incredible to go right into the top 10. Your first fight is number 2, and that's because no one will fight you. He definitely got exposed a little bit, but it's nice to get humble pie after a win. If we're going the Patriot way here. So he's going to have some stuff to look at to correct. Also, it sounds like he was fighting a little emotionally. I think Peter Yan fought kind of emotional, but I think with Chimaev, he wanted to make it more entertaining than it needed to be, and his corner was yelling at him. So, that's Gustafsson's old trainer, or is that Alex Gustafsson? That was his main trainer, that Swedish guy. Yes. I mean, he was going off on him, saying, quit making it exciting for the fans. So they're either going to run that one back, Gilbert Burns, and make it a 5-rounder main event, or it is going to be Colby next. So,
who would you have in that fight, Brian? Colby or Chimaev?
What was it? I think against Usman, Chimaev is a Vegas underdog, and against Covington, he would be a Vegas favorite. So I think Covington would win against Chimaev. I think that Usman would probably expose him pretty bad. If it's tough to take down Gilbert Burns, it's going to be really tough to take down Usman. And I think that fight probably gave Usman confidence. I think DC said that Chimaev needs to stop showing so much of himself because he's taken the allure away. He's showing that he's human. He's buddies with Darren Till, so it's like he's not going to smish. He'll be your friend. So it's some of the allure's gone, but he's still so young. He's going to get better, and that's a tough dude. I mean, this is the future. So
I can't thank you enough for taking some time and going through the footage. I'm sorry, Frank, I didn't edit the tape to your specification.
You didn't edit it at all. You just hit play on an hour tape. He started, James, did you see, Brian, you weren't on yet. He started it with you cleaning the mat. I'm like, you can fast forward to this.
I like that, though. You know what? Sanitation's important, people. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, all right? So I take the time to clean the mats, I'm not too good for that, so that's good. We're safety first.
The people need the full they need to know you're not grappling on dirty mats. See, there's infatigo, ringworm. There's a lot of bad things that can happen with dirty mats. Yeah, staph. The people. I don't want you coming down with MRSA. Like the people need to know.
Me neither.
You're working on clean mats.
Yeah.
I've had all that.
I bet you have.
Oh, great. I'm just trying to get over this, this B variant I just got over, what do they call that? The Omicron B -2.
I stopped even keeping track of the variants every few weeks. There's a new one out.
I get it every time.
Man. Well, listen, we can't thank Brian enough. And guys, before we run, James, do you have any parting comments?
No, looking forward to the Vicente Luque Bilal Muhammad fight. I think that's a very underrated fight that not many people are talking about, but it should be exciting.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Bellator as well. I'm a huge AJ McKee fan. Frank, any parting comments?
No, I'm just going to try to get excited to go get beat up by Brian. So we'll be doing that for the next hour. Anybody wants to stop by Upload Fitness in Fort Lauderdale and laugh, we welcome you in.
Brian,
when are you guys coming in? When is the show coming to the training? Because that's
I was waiting for like the official day of invite last time around, and when my phone didn't ring, I thought maybe I won't drive to Palm Beach today. But if you guys,
you want to wait for the Dean thing. Yeah, Alex wants to wait for the Dean thing.
I wanted to wait for the Dean thing, and you guys are gonna need I succumb to peer pressure. So if you guys are like you have to come up, I'll do it. I was waiting for gas prices to go below $4. That was the problem.
We want to do like a bully beatdown episode where you have to last 3 minutes sparring Frank, 3 minutes grappling Frank, and then at the end we film it and interview
dirty.
you guys.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can.
I'm getting into fighting shape.
He is. I was just gonna say, I'm lucky that I'm not wrestling the bear that used to be my partner. He's slimmed down now. So,
yeah. I'm excited. You guys got to get up and it's better to see in person, because then when you try to do it, everything looks bad on the phone.
Yeah.
1080p, bro.
1080p.
As you said those exact words on a video. Well, listen, this was a lot of fun. I want to remind everybody, make sure you are supporting the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. I bet the cold beer and the 2-for-1 drinks taste even better after a full training session. So if you're putting in the work like Frank, you want to knock down the 2-for-1 happy hour, you go watch every UFC pay-per-view fight at the Quarterdeck for zero cover charge. They charge you nothing at the door for a UFC pay-per-view. It's a great place to watch the basketball playoffs, which are getting underway, the hockey playoffs when those start. Speaking of, we're going to be having a watch party, hopefully more than one, but it depends on how deep the Heat go in the playoffs. But we're going to be having a road watch party, Game 4 against either Atlanta or Cleveland, depending on who takes that 8 seed. Game 4 is going to be a week from this Sunday. We are going to be at the Quarterdeck Davy watching it, so come out and watch it with us. And make sure you check out their full menu on the web and find the location nearest to you at their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. That'll do it for us, for James, for Frank, and for Brian. I'm Donno. We will talk to you guys again next week. And by the way, remember, if you're watching us on 5 Reasons Sports, we also simulcast the shows on our new channel. We share it with our colleague Jonathan Ramlakan, who does awesome content. It's called Combat Center. And so that's where all the fight content goes. It's also on 5 Reasons Sports. We just thought there's probably some people that come for the combat content that maybe aren't there for all the basketball and football stuff. So we have a separate channel called Combat Center for all the combat sports. So make sure you subscribe to that, because the channel is brand new. We want to get that subscriber count up. We will talk to you guys again next week on another episode of 5 Rounds on the 5